So I read in The Independent this morning, in fact about half an hour ago, that the Labour frontbencher Clive Lewis, Shadow Treasury Minister, was caught on camera during a comment session pretending to put a gun in his mouth and shoot himself and commit suicide. And this has caused, rather ironically, the Tory commentators and campaigners to go into an absolute uproar about the state of Labour. One Tory campaigner, Paul Church, actually said hundreds of thousands of people killed themselves last year, and here he is, Clive Lewis, mocking suicide. Why do you think they killed themselves, Paul? Because of your policies, because of your party's austerity, because of the slashing of benefits, because of the food bank rising that you're causing. Your party's policies over the last 8 years have, depending on how you look at it, directly or indirectly, led to hundreds of thousands of people committing suicide. So for Clive Lewis to pretend to put a gun in his mouth and shoot up and kill himself, I'll grant you, it may have been a bit unparliamentary. It may have been a bit, unprofessional. But it's not insensitive. Well, I won't go that far. But it's not, it's not a complete disgrace. Sure, he was a bit of a knob. I'll grant you that. But it's not mocking people committing suicide. This kind of thing, and this kind of thing, and even this kind of thing, these are actions that everybody has made at one point in their life or another. Especially when someone's in front of them talking absolute bollocks, and you do it, just out of their line of sight or something. This is something that everybody has done. Everybody has made jokes about suicide and made jokes about, jokingly said, I'm going to kill myself if this carries on. This is something that everybody has done. So for a Labour frontbencher to do it in full view of a camera, I'll grant you, it was unwise, unprofessional, unparliamentary, all of that stuff. But to then try and twist the whole suicide epidemic thing that we seem to be facing, try and twist that and put it on Labour, that's just cowardly and offensive. I'll tell you exactly what is mocking and offensive to the suicide rates and the people that committed suicide last year. Amber Rudd, who's now back in the cabinet as DWP minister, openly condemning the UN's investigation into the UK's human rights abuses. Now, if you didn't know, the United Nations is investigating the UK for its policies towards benefits claimants, for its welfare policies, under claims that they are inhumane and that they are violating human rights in these policies. Amber Rudd came out. She'd been in the job for 2 minutes, and she started complaining about, oh, this is despicable, this is disgusting, because naturally, obviously, the entire international community is all in it together, to borrow a phrase from a certain party. They're all in it together to band together and just try and make the UK look bad. Just try and slander the Tories, because the Tories are so innocent and perfect. What a load of fucking shit. Let me tell you something else. There's only one type of government throughout history, as far as I can see, that has ever stood up and insulted and slandered and mocked the UN when their government has been under investigation for things like this. I'll give you a hint. They're not the freedom-loving kind to ever do this. Any government that values democracy and freedom and liberty, if they've been told that they're under investigation by the UN, they take that shit seriously. And they start making improvements and they start making changes. Clearly, the Tory party, which is at the head of the UK for at least the next 5 minutes, doesn't care about democracy or freedom or human rights or its own violations. They're so wrapped up in their own little bubble that when a Labour MP mocks or pretends to kill himself, commits mock suicide, if you will, on camera, they attempt to twist it and flip it on Labour and blame them for the hundreds of thousands of suicides that we saw last year. Not blame them explicitly, but that's the implication. This story really got my aggro up. Now, I was going to make a video regarding the protests we've seen the last few days with the, what's the name of the group? Campaign Extinction, I believe they're called. they're doing an eco protest in London. They're disrupting traffic, and I heard on LBC this morning a whole bunch of people complaining about it. Now, if you don't want to live in a country where people are free to practice democracy and exercise their democratic right to protest, then go live in a dictatorship. Go live under Trump, because this is just part of the society we live in. The suffragettes blocked traffic. Martin Luther King and the civil rights movements in America and the USA. In America and the UK blocked traffic. Protests throughout history have blocked traffic, and throughout history, when it's in front of them, people have complained. Oh, I can't get to work. Oh, you're making me late. Now, I've been guilty of that myself. So, I'm a complete hypocrite when I say this, but you know, if you don't want to live in a society where people are free to block roads and are free to interrupt your day, go live in a dictatorship somewhere, some banana republic somewhere. That's it. So, a final note on that one. Now, these people are protesting climate change, and, you know, regardless of what you think of their aim and of their incentive, their aim was to disrupt everyday life enough to get you to notice. And what's happened? 2 DJs this morning on LBC, Nick Ferrari and James O'Brien, were discussing these protests and climate change and whether we're doing enough to stop it. I am currently stood in the staff room at work talking to a camera to put on YouTube and Facebook a video discussing their march. So they got exactly what they wanted, because people online, people on Twitter are too hard done by to write a Twitter feed, to write a status complaining, oh, these people, they're blocking my day. Well, congratulations, you've just given them exactly what they're after, regardless of whether you agree with them or not. Thanks for watching. I'll see you probably tomorrow or another time.